We've got to talk today about Arber Xhekaj. And for some reason, I always automatically try to put on some sort of an accent every time I say it. I can't just say it like Arber Xhekaj. It always kind of comes out Arber Xhekaj because it feels so good to say it like that. I don't know what that is. But either way, today we're going over probably one of the best Montreal Canadiens random, out of nowhere, free agent signings that they have had in a very long time. Because when it comes to this player right here, Arber Xhekaj, it's been so weird seeing how he literally went from a Costco employee to one of the hottest NHL defenders in the rookie standings race right now when it comes to overall hype, playing time, playing capability, and fan excitement. Now, I don't want to go out there and say that Arber Xhekaj is like the best player on the team, but at the same time, from what we've expected Xhekaj to be ever since he was initially signed by the Montreal Canadiens as a free agent a few years ago, to what he's become now as a 21-year-old 6'4" left-handed defenseman, Xhekaj has shown off so much that it's such a gift right here for the Montreal Canadiens. It's a blessing right in front of our faces that didn't really look like one right off the bat, but has slowly evolved into one of the best stories the Habs have had in years. As we had said, Xhekaj is 21, he is a big defenseman, he's 238 pounds, and he is signed till the end of 2024 by the Canadiens at his entry-level deal. He was undrafted in both the NHL and the OHL, signing with the Kitchener Rangers back in 2018-19. Now, during this entire OHL stint, there was the Costco employment thrown in there, and eventually he made an impression for the Canadiens at their preseason last year, and a lot of people went out there and said, yeah, no, this Xhekaj dude is honestly kind of good. And it's unexpectedly so, especially for a guy that literally came out of nowhere. Nowadays, he's actually made the Montreal Canadiens. He has 3 points in 6 games so far in the year, and he's gotten so far down under all the opponents' skins that it's really funny just looking at the Ottawa Senators and the Toronto Maple Leafs and their fan bases and what they've been saying about Xhekaj. We already made an entire video going over the hatred that these Ontario fan bases seem to have towards the Canadiens' undrafted big defenseman. But the reason we're making this video is because there was a post made on the Canadian subreddit that I do think highlights just how well Xhekaj has been playing so far. The post was made by GoHabsGo31. Here are Arber Xhekaj's team stats amongst Habs defensemen this season. He's got 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, 13 penalty minutes, 26 hits, and he's doing so in 15 minutes and 18 seconds of time on ice per game. He leads the Canadiens' defense in goals, assists, points, penalty minutes, and hits, despite having the lowest time on ice. And I know, that's kind of mind-boggling. It really is. You talk about some of the other talented defenders that this team has. I mean, not really talented per se, but just kind of young and full of potential. You've got Caden Cooley, Jordan Harris. There are a number of names that project well enough into the long-term future that you can be excited for. It's just, right now, when it comes to these individual categories, Xhekaj is the first player on the team where it matters on the score sheet. Obviously, it's not really the best that he's leading the team on defense and penalty minutes, but at the same time, being first in goals, assists, points, and hits also makes things a lot easier to stomach, plus the fact that he's doing so in such a limited amount of ice time. Now, I don't want to go out there and say or imply that Xhekaj needs to be playing more. In fact, I feel like that's the entire opposite. If anything, if I had to try to label what Xhekaj's path should be heading on to the next few games, just keep him where he's at. He's obviously been excelling so far, so there's no real reason to take any minutes away from a guy like Cooley and give them elsewhere where it's not necessarily needed. You gotta remember, Xhekaj is still a rookie. He is still adapting and adjusting to the NHL game. Sure, he's done that very well up to this point, but at the same time, you don't want to ever put the guy in a position where all of a sudden he's playing more minutes than he can chew. And plus, the way that he plays, the physicality, the big hits, that's not necessarily something that I feel like allows him to play an extended amount of time. Like, obviously, if a guy is going out there laying out the smackdown to everybody on the ice, you probably want to give him a bit more of a rest than your defensemen that kind of just sit around back and wait for the opposition to make the rushes, and then you throw your stick in there trying to break it up and go the other way. The way Xhekaj plays doesn't really promote itself at the time, I feel, to being a 30 minutes a night defenseman, just for example. Having him at 15, I feel like is good enough for him to transition into maybe working towards getting higher minutes down the line, because of course, it's only been 6 games. 82 games in an NHL season is a long freaking time, and playing, let's say, 20 to 23 minutes a night is going to take a toll on your body, especially if you body check people in the way that Xhekaj does. He also gets into physical altercations and fights, and we've seen him absolutely beat the crap out of guys, which has been cool. We have also seen him make some pretty good goals, and we are seeing the camaraderie with the team. When Slafkovsky scored his first goal, Xhekaj was behind Slafkovsky yelling at Brown. It was kind of funny seeing how that was going down there. But at the end of the day, Arber Xhekaj, as a first-year NHL player who came out of nowhere, this is an absolute treat, and it's really difficult in my mind to try to label what the ceiling could be. Like, I know it's difficult to find NHL defenders nowadays who are #1 guys, who are absolute tanks on ice that can absolutely terrorize the opponents. We know Shea Weber was sort of that a few years ago, but for Arber Xhekaj, it's kind of weird thinking about players that fit that sort of mold, because even though Weber was the rock the Habs had when they went over to the finals, it wasn't necessarily like he was the absolute menace that Xhekaj is at the moment. Do you kind of see the difference in what I'm saying here? When I try to think about a #1 defender, or let's just say a top defender on a team that was an absolute menace, just an absolute body-checking, wrecking ball machine, I don't know what it is, but the first thought that I have is kind of Dion Phaneuf from the Flames era. That was a long time ago. Am I even remotely accurate on that? I don't know. You can go in the comments and let me know your thoughts in general about defenders who go out there and body guys while also being top defenders on their team. I'm not really sure if Xhekaj has that #1 top pairing ceiling, but it's really difficult to try to project because you never really see players on his sort of development path make the NHL and stick around long enough to actually have impactful careers. So just at the beginning, you know, having a guy who's 21, who came up in the way that he did, undrafted at the OHL level, undrafted at the NHL level, and he's now a mainstay guy, like, that's a gift. 100% a gift. And now he is leading the team on defense for goals, assists, points, penalty minutes, and hits. He isn't even playing much, and he's already leading the team on defense and hits. Take a look at this stat right here in the comment section of this post. He also ranks 3rd in the NHL in hits, just behind Evander Kane and Ovechkin. So he's first amongst all defenders. That's the NHL we're talking about. And this player has the most hits amongst all D-men with only 15 minutes played. How the heck are you even going to try to label a ceiling there? Like, that's crazy to me. Is this Dion Phaneuf 2.0? Obviously not with the story. Dion was in the draft, and he was a very highly touted pick, and he was absolutely labeled for superstardom the moment he was 18 years old. Xhekaj had none of that. So, I know it's different there, but just stylistically, the way they play. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about a player comparable that you feel is appropriate to use here, and whether or not there is a definable ceiling for Arber Xhekaj and the play that he has displayed so far. Talk to me in the comments on your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 99, and bye.